So this is a really great panel. I think a lot of technology, deep technology expertise, entrepreneurship, business knowledge. So I think it'll be fun. I also see that we're all in neighboring hostels. Somehow Saras got left out, or a couple of other hostels. So obviously the intelligence is concentrated. So let's start with, I think, a fairly simple thing. I mean, all of us have been dealing with the term AI becoming a very prominent buzzword. And so almost anybody who touches a computer can claim to be a practitioner of AI. So, but I think for the purpose of this conversation, we may want to narrow the definition a bit. I'm going to ask the panel what they think is a little bit more concise and accurate definition of what we want to call AI. Andy, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I think on this point, there are two answers to this, right? I think one, if you think about what AI is today, it's more of a marketing term, which is an umbrella term that's used for everything called machine learning. When you put in the term called AI, now it just becomes not much bigger than just technical. So that's how I see it today. But there is a huge potential in terms of what it holds for the future. If you think about AI in the future, it is about replicating a slice of the human brain, making decisions and performing activities like what a human does today. And so if you think about it that way, some of the products that I've been involved in both include something like how you recreate an equity trade. Can it do intelligent merchandising on an e-commerce site? Can a radiologist be replaced? Can even, from the extreme of a driverless car to a very simple task, can a machine do it and provide an outcome instead of walking you through 8 steps on how to do it, is how I would think about AI. So when you think about the next 5 to 10 years, what can machines do much better than what a human or a group of humans does, is how I would begin to start thinking about what the true potential of AI is.
Yeah. So, Andy talked about marketing. Let me ask a question. How many here have background in marketing? Raise your hands, right? So, a lot of confusion in AI, comes from the marketing and hype, right? 8 or 9 years back, it was all big data, right? You gotta have big data to be cool, right? And 2 years after that, big data was so old, and people came up with machine learning, right? And after that, that kind of lost coolness. That's why, now it's AI. And now it's, deep learning. It's almost like, hey, if we're not doing, AI as a service, we go really deep. And of course, there are real technical differences, between what ML is, what AI is, what deep learning is, and so on, right? But I think a lot of the confusion, again, it's just because of the technical products, announcing, using these buzzwords in different ways, right? But I think, if you scan the market right now, I would say 80% of the market is still machine learning, right? Which is basically taking all the big data, coming up with patterns, right, and coming up, using it for use cases. Probably about 20%, it's sort of like the real technical definition of AI, which is image processing, NLP, facial recognitions, and all that for driverless cars and so on, right? But I think most of the current state is, the bulk is still in the ML sort of area.
So, let me take a crack at this slightly differently. Maybe a sort of tour from the 1950s, just from 1 minute tour, right? So, I think the original definition of AI was that these are intelligent agents interacting with the external environment, receiving inputs or stimulus, and doing our actions. This is actually a formal academic definition. And then we got into what's called a narrow AI and generalized AI, and it's probably worthwhile talking about. I'm sure all of you have seen these small strips laid across the road measuring how many cars are going through. When it was first introduced, there were humans doing this, and then humans were replaced by something that was not very intelligent at some level. It just, it was just automating something using technology. So the point where I'm going with it is, in some sense, today we would not call that AI. Okay. So, is AI something that has to be at the edge of what technology can do? So that's one thing to think about. I'm not saying that's a definition or something like that, but is it something that has to be at the edge, right, of what technology can do? And this narrow versus general AI, again, just to sort of say what that means, narrow AI is typically you take a specific task, a lot of tasks are mentioned. Hey, how do I recognize the people in this audience? Is a task. Or how do I automatically convert what I'm speaking into text that can, be transmitted to an audience? So there are many tasks that we typically associate with human intelligence, in particular vision and speech, two senses. And these two senses have sort of made a lot of progress in the last 7 years, and that is partially the excitement for AI. I'll pause, there are a lot more points in that, so we'll come back.
Yeah, that's super. The idea of the narrow versus broad seems really insightful, because we do see a lot of narrow tasks, and they can be extremely narrow, being classified as AI. And as you said, speech is one, vision and then two that have advanced really fast due to deep learning.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I just think about this a little simplistically. It's a learning system that interacts with an environment and improves with the experience. If you just take a very broad definition, at the end of the day, it is still software, or software and a combination of some hardware that's domain specific. But a system that interacts with an environment and over time gets better with experience is what I broadly call as an AI system. The term itself has waxed and waned over the last probably 50 years now. And it's meant
Can you speak into the
different
mic,
things.
please?
Sure. Over the last 50 to 60 years, the term itself has meant, I think, different things at different points in time. But if you take a very general definition as any software that interacts with an environment and improves over time, I think that definition is held consistently. That's probably the only thing that seems to have held consistently over the years. And I think this goes back to McCarthy's original definition that you mentioned as well.
So if you, go ahead.
So I take a very quick practical look at it. So when I started my company, I wanted a hot domain name, and 2 years ago, IO was pretty hot. So my startup is called Cupid, and so Cupid.io. And a few months ago, I said, AI is hotter. Let's buy an AI domain name. And I couldn't buy it from GoDaddy. So why can't I buy it from GoDaddy? It turns out you have to buy an AI domain name from a specialized provider, because AI is actually the domain for Anguilla. So I'm kind of forced to conclude AI is an island in the Caribbean.
That's a new definition, yeah.
But having said that, I think AI has been, as Andy said, or as Vijay said, it's been waxing and waning. When I joined, when I did my PhD at Yale, and it was kind of one of the homes of AI. And it was hot then and cooled off and so on. I think basically today it's back up, I think, simply because of the ability to capture massive amounts of data and mine it for insights. It's a problem that's always been interesting, it's practical, and it's commoditized today. And hence, we're back to looking at it. The fundamental question of, is that intelligence? I don't know if we are ready to resolve it yet.
Yeah, I think the interesting question about it's come up a couple of times in the 50s. It's been around and so on. So I'd like to sort of talk a bit more about what really has changed, right? You referred to massive amounts of data. What else has changed? What has made it possible to do some of the things that we're now calling AI that were not? I was working Euronet 20 years ago, and it was touch and go. I don't know, Vijay, you want to take a crack at sort of talking about what's changed?
Yeah. So fundamentally, I think neural networks have been around for a very long time, right, for 50, 60 plus years. But networks by themselves have lots of capacity. Today when people talk about AI, fundamentally they're talking to it's mostly boiling down to a specific technology called deep neural networks. Neural networks that have lots of layers, that are very high level abstraction. So these networks have a lot of capacity to learn. But till about probably 5-6 years ago, we haven't had the data, or we haven't had the computing power to really learn networks that are very performant and powerful. Now, with the advent of primary internet, I would think, where data has become extremely easy to and cheap to obtain, and with the growth of both computing power and some minor advances, I would say, relatively minor advances in the techniques of neural networks themselves. In fact, neural networks themselves have been around for 50, 60 years, so some of the early folks who used to do neural networks have pretty much gotten most of the fundamental techniques down right. But 5-6 years ago, these three things, right? The techniques, the coming together of data, and the coming together of computing power meant that a lot of data that we so far couldn't understand or reason over, so data in the form of, say, vision, images, videos, audio, even text to some extent, suddenly became approachable. Right? So you could understand them, you could reason over them, you could understand the semantics behind them, and you can start making some sense over them at a level of quality that is approaching human level accuracy. So the bar here isn't that it's 100% accurate. Right? It's not a software rule where you put up a rule or you put up a system that's very definite. It's going to make some mistakes, but that's okay as long as it has human level accuracy. And that frontier was crossed, I think, we are probably in the time where we're crossing that in the last 3 years or so. Suddenly, that opens up a whole new way of looking at and solving problems, right? So instead of having a human sit there and do a lot of routine tasks, and you train a system that will take the same data and reason over it at the same level of accuracy that a human would. And suddenly, that's where the real excitement is today, right? This confluence of these three things, the availability of data, the computing power, and the techniques, in these domains, in these non-structured data domains, approaching human level accuracies, I think opening up a real huge exciting potential. And suddenly it's as if like they just opened up a whole new technology, just like computing itself was in the 70s or 80s. And how do you apply them in various industries now against these techniques?
So if you could just add to that, I'll just double down on compute. I think GPUs have fundamentally changed data science and model building. Primarily because just leveraging GPUs, if anyone's from NVIDIA, obviously their stocks skyrocketed through the roof, 1,000% in the last 3 years. Just discovering that you could actually build models, run training, run inference very quickly, and to run this loop of building better and better models is what is actually getting AI and machine learning systems to be comparable to the level of humans. Earlier, it used to be take months, several months to actually build a model, train it, test it in the wild. If you have to go back to tweak the parameters and then release it back, it's going to take another 6 months. Today, with the compute available, you can test significantly amount of data, parallel process it, not just deep learning. There are several other technologies that you could parallelize and run it on GPUs, and I think that's one of the biggest contributors towards adoption today.
Right, so let me give a slightly different perspective. I completely agree with what has been said, but maybe contrast it, sort of talk a little bit more about why the excitement about what has happened in the last 6-7 years. I mean, the reasons are what they said. And for that, again, maybe worthwhile traces some history. So mechanical calculators, were having around, and people sort of wrote I call it a very well-defined program for a well-defined function, let's say. And then computers came along where you could write any program, not just one program, right? Any program, and you can write it in your favorite language. And that was a huge advance. But still, when you're writing that program, you, the human, is the provider of the intelligence in some ways. And so you are actually saying, take the step, there is something called a flow chart, whatever you want, take the step, then do this, then do this, then do this. And one of the nice things about what's happening with the deep neural networks, and this is always true, there's nothing new that exists in that, is now we are not actually telling the machine that take the step, take the step, take the step. So what these networks are capable of is they're capable of learning automatically what to do with the data, right? So nobody is actually telling them, here is a scene, focus on this face, focus on the eye, focus on the nose. Nobody is actually giving these, what I call, explicit instructions to extract what I call features to be doing. So that nobody is doing that. And I think that is part of the reason why there is so much excitement, because in some ways they are learning automatically to figure out what is important with this vast amount of data and the vast amount of computing power these guys talk about. They are learning automatically what is important in that and automatically starting to make some decisions. In a very constrained way, and we can talk about what's still missing, but I just want to point out that from writing a program, so there was a single program, then you could write any program, now you can write a program that generates programs. I mean, it's a very cool approximation, but I'll leave it at that cool approximation.
And so I agree with pretty much everything that you have said, but I think computing, internet and the data, I think these are sort of technological trends that sort of enable it, right? But the question of, when does doing ML, give me ROI, right, from a sort of business perspective, right? I think that started, sort of with, the explosion of social media, right, and e-commerce, and the ability for, these companies to profile us and, target more ads, right, and obviously, make more revenue out of that, right? And I think that's where, from a sort of like a purely, ROI perspective, right, and I think that's where a lot of investment into ML went in. And a lot of those things were, done by Google, Facebook, and so on, right? I think, in my mind, that was sort of like a clear business reason, why push the, technology even further, right? And at that time, obviously, social media also added a whole lot of data. I mean, the amount of data that's created by social media in one day is, more than, I don't know, it's more than like, the year full of social media data created like 5 years back or something like that. So that's been exploding. And I think purely from a business sense, right, I think it's these e-commerce and social media, I think they push the business barriers on some of these ML, right? On the AI front, I mean, now again, it's a different, I mean, having better customer experience, chatbots or, tools like Alexa or Google Home, and these are sort of pushing the business barriers on that. That's kind of my take.
I think it's sort of been building up, right? So you sort of the ability to have vast amounts of data through using big data technology and commodity servers, and then the availability of cloud computing, so anyone can access significant amounts of compute, and then you have the technology building on top of that. So now you don't have to be a huge company in order to be able to use some of these algorithms, open source technology. So I think it's all been sort of accumulating, all the buzzwords have been accumulating upwards, hopefully to something useful. So I was going to switch on to sort of a little bit of, I think we've been talking about how AI has evolved, but how does this affect our daily life, right? And that's sort of the most important thing, obviously touching us almost every day, and it will touch us more and more. So I don't know, Venki, you want to talk a little bit about, day to day, today and then 5 years from now, how will AI be affecting you and me in our sort of as consumers, not as necessarily workers or entrepreneurs, but as consumers?
So I think it's probably fairly clear that with social media and with not just social media, but the whole phenomenon of online interaction for everything, whether it's purchasing or service delivery or whatever, that everything is and can be and is being recorded. And 5-10 years ago, it was probably just being recorded raw. People are getting to the point where they're curating it at the point of recording. So the feedback loop, in addition to the computing and all of that becoming commoditized, I think that the techniques of curation are leading to a feedback loop that almost real time, right? So I think one of the things that we'll see is that the systems we interact with will become more reactive and more personalized and more tuned to what we're trying to do with them, sort of anticipating almost what we want to do with them, right? So I think that's a trend that's going to happen. The other area that fascinates me particularly is large-scale image processing. It's a very visual world. A small amount of it is historically been captured, but now, with cameras in everyone's pockets, or if you want to get creepy, cameras on every street and so on. Literally, the reality around us, not just what we interact with online, is being captured, and the possibilities of what you can do with that, especially with advanced image processing techniques, are pretty exciting on the one hand and pretty scary on the other hand, right? So I think those are two trends that I see will continue to evolve rapidly. The one thing that I'm very interested in, but I'm not quite sure will evolve as rapidly. So the common theme here is that AI is really a function of data. So it's data-driven insights, data-driven decisions, and so on. A lot of the I, to me, it's not clear. It has such a direct relationship with data. Things like intuition, empathy, judgment, creativity. Those are things that are still on the H side rather than the A side, right? So I'd be very curious to see if there are some, bubbling developments in those areas that start to appear soon. I was particularly fascinated by a talk that I heard from an IIT Bombay alum called George, and I'm not going to hold the inferior pedigree against him, but it was it's a really fascinating talk about AI driven by really small amounts of data, about making leaps of inference by extrapolation rather than condensing. So you talk about features. That's really about dimensionality reduction of large amounts of data, but the opposite phenomenon of take a small amount of data and build a story around it, which I think humans are very good at. So it seems like there is a nascent body of knowledge building there. To me, that's a really fascinating idea.
At the risk of probably stating the obvious, going back to your question about how it impacts consumers, I just want to, I'm sure some of you have seen these memes floating around now. Let me just draw your attention to one of them. I don't know. There's this little boy who says, all this news is fake. I'm not going to name names here. There's somebody else, my dad told me all these news is fake. And there's somebody else standing next to him and says, you know that he's not your dad, right? So just to say how it hits consumers, I think we're seeing the Tesla story, the self-driving cars. So it's real. I mean, and I don't want to strike a note of caution here. I mean, I'm going to be the red blanket in the panel if there are others who want to. But I don't think we're going to need to talk more about it. But I don't think we're going to need regulation. We're going to need to be careful. We're going to go towards what I call explainable AI, and we can talk about that again. But the bottom line is, I guess what I'm saying is consumers are going to be impacted, and very, very deeply, and society will have to figure out how to deal with this. There is a tsunami coming. Yeah. So
just on that, though, right? So, can I lift the red blanket a little bit? So, it's less of, I think, being cautious around this. It's more a question of thinking, how do we manage with it? Because similar things have happened with just the ubiquity of computing itself, starting in the 80s, and the internet in the late 90s and 2000s. So we've had technological paradigm shifts happen already of this scale and magnitude, even in many of our own lifetimes. And we as a society continue to evolve with it. Obviously, there's a whole new spectrum of new problems and challenges that we technology brings, and we have to work improve it.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not saying we should stop anything, but I'm just saying, I want to make sure that we also understand as technologists, most of us work on technologies or entrepreneurs on this side. I just want to take the contrarian view of society.
The other piece is also, this is not entirely new, right? So somehow there is a notion that in the next 3 years there is some big wall of tsunami that's going to hit us. If you think about it, if you take any random email today, right, emails have been around at least for all of individuals for 20 plus years. And of the 400, 500 billion mails that get sent today, less than 10% is really true good emails, right? Whereas if you look at your inboxes, you don't see 90% spam names on your inboxes. You go to any decent, half-decent email provider, it's there. So, and these are very large-scale AI systems that have been running in the back end, almost like invisible AI, that we don't know they exist, but they have existed and they have been perfected, or they continue to get better and better over time for the last 15, 20 years. So I think some of the, we are getting better at building such systems. Right? We're getting better at making these systems be more performant, avoid a lot of the pitfalls, etc. And that's going to be, that journey I think will continue.
Right. So my point, sorry, we designed to make this panel more interesting, so we are going to have arguments because that's part of the planned decision. So my point really here is, I think there are places where it's safe to use AI, and self-driving cars is not one of them. I think that's the biggest point I want to make. And I'm not saying we can't use it there. I'm going to say we need to think deeper about how to get it there. I mean, there are standards around how you release pharmaceuticals. I mean, how you release new medicines. ISO has not even gotten around to this yet, and they're starting to. I'm just saying there is a quality. Let me give you an anecdote, actually. It's a very interesting anecdote. So I met somebody, I was at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Don't ask me why I was there. My company's headquarters in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So Mayo Clinic is there, and I was sent there for something. So there's this man I met in a bar, and he was telling me a story, an anecdote about, this is now an anecdote from 50 years ago, 60 years ago, how he was used to for IBM, and how he was used to for IBM, and how computers, mainframe computers came into the thing. And his whole point was, at that point, and I'm agreeing with you, but the society had to catch up to this whole new computing wave. And that company, so there was a company in which was going and recreating their whole accounts and automating their accounts or writing programs. But the people there did not believe this, so they said, no, we have run it for 3 years. We have to verify that what we are doing manually is consistent with what this computer is producing. So the reason I'm saying this anecdote is we need to make sure there are situations where AI can be used where I think it doesn't hurt. The decisions are not life-threatening. The decisions are not pertinent. Yeah, it's not that important, and those are very fine decisions. I know whatever I do belongs to that class. It's search, e-commerce. It's okay. I mean, you can make mistakes and so on and so forth. I'm just saying there's a class of problems for which we are fast-tracking things that we need to be careful. I think that's it.
I understand and totally agree with the point about especially like let's say not yet. Right? But if you have been flying planes and all those too, that's an AI system that's been running for at least 70, 80 years.
I actually kind of agree with both of you, right? And I'll tell you why. Because what he's basically saying that we got to be really careful in sort of exposing these AI systems to certain things. And what you're saying is that, hey, that's what technology has been doing all this while, ranging from automobiles to planes to whatnot, right? And I think both points are right. But I'll tell you this, right? I mean, one of the inconvenient truths is that as long as the technology provides some convenience, right, people will use it, right? Irrespective of, whether it does a little bit of harm, right? I mean, right now, the kind of, self-driving cars are not out yet, right? But right now, the harms of some of the AI machine learning that people are feeling is mostly in privacy, right? And what's happening in Facebook, and a sort of general feeling of, losing control, right? I'll just give you an example. You go to Netflix and you see like what's top trending on Netflix, right? even there, it kind of filters based on your interest, right? And sometimes I'm like, stop being a smarty pants and just tell me the raw data so I can choose, right? And go to your Facebook newsfeed. I mean, there are lots of, sort of added a lot of settings you can do there, but you still cannot control, what you can see and what you can't see, right? So people are sort of, having some sense of, losing control, which is kind of what's happening right now, right? Which is kind of okay, kind of view. It's still not like threatening, but again, once you come to the self-driving cars, right? Some people may not totally like it. I mean, they might say, hey, I don't really want to lose control in these sort of life-threatening situations. But I think, technology will still progress, right? I mean, irrespective of, maybe there will be some newer accidents where people get killed, right? All those things will happen, but I think, technology will still progress. There's really no way to stop this.
Yes, so I'm fully in agreement, just like one last thing. When atom bomb came out of physics research, and we can't stop the genie who's out of the bottle. We can't stop it, and we should. By no means am I saying we should stop technology. I won't be doing unpacking about technology. I'm sure it's very apparent. All I'm saying is I want technologies to become more responsible and worry about society. I guess that's the only message here.
Yeah, I think there's no question that we have a lot of technologies here and we're going to drive forward. There's going to be some breaks we have to put on from time to time. I did want to switch gears a little bit. A lot of the folks, there are some entrepreneurs on this panel. And so, what does it take? How do you identify opportunities? Because obviously, the place is ripe with opportunity. And you also have people providing platforms. Some of the big companies have provided platforms which you can use for running algorithms, running data, and so on and so forth. And also, for people who are relatively new to the space, how might they learn about it, right? What are sort of the mechanisms by which the courses, meetups, and also forums like these. So what's the best way to identify opportunities? How do you become more skilled in this? How do you become more knowledgeable? Sort of would like to hear the panel's views on that. Vicky, you want to start?
So in terms of opportunity, from a very practical point of view, Vijay, I mean, what I hear from most enterprises is that they have more data than they know what to do. In fact, they don't know what data they have. They don't know where it's collecting dust, right? So that's, and if we're living in the early stages of a data-driven revolution, you don't have to look far for opportunity. Just follow the data. I think is the right mantra. Regarding how do you learn about it, get up to speed, I think it's the resources out there are just unbelievable. I mean, what you needed to go to college for and get take a couple of advanced classes. With a couple of hours of diligent Google searching, you can find all those resources. So I don't think it's a matter of finding or having the appropriate learning resources. It's a matter of deciding that that's what you want to do, spend the time, and do your due diligence. I mean, I think never has there been a lower barrier to getting into a field like this.
Did you take any courses or anything along the way?
I keep in my minuscule spare time, I keep educating myself. But fortunately, I've been in this field for long enough that it's a matter of maintaining and sort of incrementally learning. But the big picture, really, I think, for the next 5-10 years, is that this is a data-driven industry or a data-driven opportunity. There is a lot of data that's gathered dust from the past and data being generated, as we live and breathe. So just find a narrow slice of that, find a use case for it, apply technique, and I think you have a business.
So I'll say this as an entrepreneur, right? So if you're, let's say if you're starting a startup, right, and building a product, just building the software stack alone is not defensible these days, right? Software stack can be easily replicated. There's competition from open source, right? Maybe 20 years, 30 years back you could do that, but not now, right? And from that point of view, AI and ML, adds a layer of, defensibility and differentiation, right, to your business and product, right, at this stage. So it almost looks like, every tech product, should have some level of AI and ML, right, to add that defensibility and differentiation, right? So that's my primary thing from a software perspective, right? And as he said, the world is, sort of like data rich and, this domain, right? You take any of these traditional industries, insurance or manufacturing or banking or whatever it is, right? They have so much of data, they just don't know what to do with it, right? So there's really a lot of opportunities, where you take that data and come up with whatever insights or whatever use cases, right? And there's so many opportunities, just to come up with AI, based startups in those space, right? And also on the other side, you have these, frontier type technologies like, drones or, other new ones like IoT or blockchain, right? Where sometimes AI actually is the product, that you're selling, right? So in that ways, I think, as an entrepreneur, right, I think everybody needs to sort of understand, not in pretty much all the details, but understanding all the AI and ML, these things out there, right? And sort of think of, how they can use it for business, right? And the second question is in terms of learning, there are a lot of resources, on YouTube, right? That's kind of pretty much where I learn a lot of stuff. But I think over time, a lot of this, the AI and ML, mostly on the AI side, it's going to be commoditized, meaning, there are going to be libraries available for, text to, or libraries or API available for, text to speech, right? So you don't have to get too much into the sort of like nitty-gritties of that sort of technology per se, right? But what I think, where I think you can add value is, how can I use these bunch of technologies, right, to enable a particular business use case for a particular set of customers, right? And I think that knowledge is not sort of like widely prevalent right now. People are sort of throwing grass everywhere and trying to see if it sticks. But I think that's sort of a business knowledge acumen, right? That's something that startup entrepreneurs, could, I don't know where they could learn it, but they could learn it and could use it.
So, look, I think there's tons of opportunities in the future if you think about this. I think on the consumer side of things, user experiences are going to be simplified. I think that is the biggest promise from an AI standpoint. Look, for example, today, calling a cab, you have to open an app and so forth. But can you just say, look, get me a cab to go to SFO, right? Now, the AI can actually understand the layers of information, get me, where am I, at tab, I'm going to SFO right now. This is simplification of user experiences. I think we're just barely scratching the surface in terms of what the future of user experiences is going to be in terms of that. So there's tons of new companies, new opportunities which can reimagine existing experiences and do just one problem and solve it at scale will be the next billion-dollar companies in the future, right? That's one. On the enterprise side of things, you can literally think about, like what Benji said, there will be tons of data. What is an important enterprise problem that could be rethought of as a machine learning problem? And what is the biggest impact? So there are tons of $100 million value problems in enterprises that could be rethought of. Like in the case of e-commerce, just thinking about what packaging to be put for a certain order is a $1 billion, hundreds of millions of dollars in value. So I think there's lots of opportunities for entrepreneurs. The challenge is going to be, at this point in time, the solution might not be as powerful in performance as the existing solution out there, but with compute, with better data, in the next 5 years, it will be much better. So I think the bet should be made now so that you are able to now, be part of the future.
So in addition to, I think everything that's been said, I'd like to sort of think of two possible areas which are not conventional, or at least conventional computer scientists, technologists don't think about, right? So one is, are there sources of data that are very unique or that one can create almost, I want to say? So clearly, if the data is already there, I think I'm sure there's a spirit of companies that will do better analysis on that. But I think many times, and this is where I think it's not about just computer science, it's computer science aligned with physics, aligned with chemistry, aligned with, electrical engineering, whatever it is, right? So some of
I think that's where IoT comes in,
right?
Because
IoT is
you create new data streams.
Exactly. So you want to create, so if you can create industries where data did not exist and now suddenly exists, and if you are the first mover into that, then I think that's going to be a huge advantage. And of course, like I said, if you can, I heard the other day of, there are lots of things happening in healthcare. It's just awesome to see what's can work with biologists, I mean, you can work with chemists in nanotechnology or whatever. I even heard something as mundane as pizza automation, pizza making automation company. It's right here in Mountain View, and so I think there are very at least computer scientists or the computer industry rather than non-standard things. And I do think that's going to be the next wave. If I look 20 years out, I mean, not in the next 5 years.
Any, you want to add to that?
No, I think I agree with everything said here. The main piece here is that I don't believe there's fundamentally a new set of things that we need to think about. A lot of the problems and the domains that we already have problems and that we're all working to solve. There is a layer where it's possible to infuse AI, bring in and reason over different types of data, different modalities of data that so far have remained inaccessible. So for instance, something even as common as customer support, for instance. Instead of it automating it for just fixed responses, hey, can you have the person call you, convert from speech to text with good enough fidelity, right? Because these techniques have existed for a while, but they've existed in very narrow forms. So if you're able to do it in a general sense, have good enough fidelity of translations, understand the text, understand the intent and the entities, the semantics in the text, and be able to automatically query your back-end knowledge corpus, craft a response, and then do the same thing with reverse text, so put it in natural language text and cover that speech and have the system come back to you. These are scenarios that are now possible too. Right? One of the things, not for advertisement, but something that we've been doing in Microsoft today is we get the order of about 100 to 200,000 customer support calls a day. Right? So especially as our cloud services take up, most of our calls are on operations. There's a ton of questions that come up. We're not going to be able to scale by having customer support. We do this now, I'd say about 40 to 50% of all of our customer support is now completely handled through these types of organization or systems, through these types of AI systems in a fully automated manner. And they give equal or better satisfaction, customer satisfaction surveys as what we have. So I think there are experiences like the problems that we already have today that I think can be solved faster, better, cheaper, rather than leveraging.
So just one point, I think you sort of seem to say that the AI advancements in some of these existing data stuff is being sort of implemented. Is that sort of?
No, I don't think incremental. I think you can leverage AI for doing two things. Right? One is making current solutions and current software systems better, dramatically better. Right? But just putting together simple solutions. Being able to leverage things like being able to tap into somebody's speech and being able to reason over them didn't really exist with very high fidelity about 5-6 years ago. Right? You could do it in very narrow domains, and those types of ASR systems have been around for a while. But being able to do it generally with high recall and high precision as well has not really existed. Now suddenly that way doesn't impact. So it gives you a tremendous opportunity to solve current problems better, faster, cheaper. And at the same time, it opens up new technologies. I think it was you that mentioned drones, right? So drones is all completely AI-enabled industries, right? The reason for existence is because they're able to reason over it through AI. So I think those two are the types of progress that I think we'll see.
So I agree. So I guess one way to look at it is that, AI is kind of not optional anymore, right? Because I think the consumer expectations have changed right now. For example, my daughter, when she goes to a screen, the first thing she does is, touch it and, try to swipe it, right? And obviously, people are going to expect to, talk to their devices, because everybody has Alexa and Google Home. So in some ways, it's not just optional anymore. It's not like, hey, we got this nice data, let's do something about it, right? You have to sort of do it, because the consumer, and even enterprise consumer expectations have changed, that it somewhat, it necessitates, doing that. And I think that's something, I always think, from a startup entrepreneur's perspective, right? I mean, it's not, yeah, I mean, it has defensibility and all that, but, you got to really do it, to stay in the game, right? And same thing, the incumbents, if they don't do it, they'll get replaced pretty soon. I think it's progressing at a very high pace there.
Right.
Probably because of the consumer expectations.
I think the thought that AI is not optional, yeah, no, I sort of resonate with that. I also like Venki's statement about follow the data, right? I think that's exactly what it is. I do think we want to take some questions from the audience, and then I'll come back and I'm going to ask each of you for 10 seconds to think about one AI device or technology that you would like to possess in a few years. And feel free, you can imagine whatever you like out of that. But questions from the
We'll
audience?
take 2 questions from the audience. And, like, what are the limits of AI? Like, are we going to see a day where AI will speak for itself and hold its own? Kind of say like it's not optional. You have like highlighting everything and take credit for everything at some point. Or?
Are you, just to clarify, you're saying can AI behave like humans?
Yeah, I mean, can AI also
Reason regulator is going to be coming to mind.
So, yeah, so that's called generalized intelligence. I mean, so honestly, I think nobody knows. There are various estimates out there ranging from 30 years out to anything beyond that. I think technology is very hard to predict. You don't see the rapid pace with which things are going, especially typically these things are exponential curves. When you're at the beginning stages of the exponential curve, it's very hard to know that you're here or here and all that. All I think is the last 7 years have been phenomenal. I think the speech and the vision part has really pushed things forward, along with all the other mechanical advances and so on and so forth. So yes, there will be self-driving cars. I'll be honest, I don't know how many in the panel, I think we can do the poll. How many people would have thought self-driving cars was a reality in 2012? I for one certainly did not think. So the speed with which that happened, I think is clearly, transformative in some ways. So I don't know, I don't think anybody can give you an answer, but I'm just saying these are things that, technology is a very strange piece. Things come together very quickly sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So I don't think anybody knows. The only historical parallel I can draw is about 500 million years ago, like roughly when Earth was 4 billion years old, it went through this phase called Cambrian explosion. For a period of about 20-25 million years or so, the diversity of life forms and the number of life forms just took off. It just grew totally exponential. And people are trying to understand why that happened, what really led to this, and there are a bunch of different coincidences that happened. One of those coincidences is that suddenly there were a lot of single-celled organisms, mostly they were living in colonies, and some of them started behaving as one organism and then started developing vision, right? The ability to see. It turns out that's incredibly powerful suddenly because now you can avoid being eaten and you can eat. Right? So it just suddenly led to this explosion. There are a lot of other factors as well. I think there was a lot of other ecological factors as well that just coincided. What would it have led to? I don't know, but here we are 500 years later having some conversations about what might happen in the future. It feels like we are somewhere in that cusp of explosion today.
Jay makes an excellent point, and I just want to add to that. I think just that moving forward, there were lots of animals. Vision was ubiquitous, but man developed speech. Okay, the ability to communicate, that does not exist in any other animal. So that suddenly made man the most powerful sort of being. So
Can I just say one quick thing? Look, we haven't gotten translation right with speech to text, right? So I don't think general AI is like super far out. I think we have to worry less about machines getting smarter than humans. We have to be worried about humans using 5% smart machines and screwing others. I think that's a bigger risk for us rather than the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I work with conversational AI, and despite enormous advances, it's hard to hold a conversation of 4 exchanges successfully with the machine. So We'll take another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Nicola.
Hi, so first of all, thanks very much for the panel. This space is moving really quickly, so getting to refresh every couple of months actually makes a lot of sense, so appreciate that very much. One comment I'd like to make on Venki's remarks around companies and technology around using micro data sets or smaller data sets. I certainly see a lot of startups. One I read about recently, and LA, which is actually in a program that I'm working with, is focused on leveraging AI for control loops. So whether it's combustion engines or something like that, using data, 1,000 hertz or more, and trying to plug that back in. So it's just an observation there. But one question I had for the panel at large is a broad one. That's around data bias. So when you talk about platforms that are essentially building algorithms that are viewing these algorithms with knowledge based on a certain data set, how far is that use going to look like, and how does that change from industry to industry? If you have an image analytics trained at Google, for example, how does that translate into a quality control line that Siemens builds that can be applied to canning or something like that?
So, data bias is a huge issue in AI, right? I don't know if you guys saw it, I think in 2015, Google released a Photos app, which they said, will identify, classify, every person, object, and so on, right? And what happened was, it started classifying some, black-skinned people as gorillas, and that actually happened. And there's a lot of pushback, right? So I think what basically happens is that, the biases in humans are going to be transferred to the biases in AI, right? And I don't know if there's any way around it, right? And again, but if you think about what's bias, right? It's basically just our mind, trying to come up with patterns and, kind of come up with stereotypes, and that's how we have survived so long. So, we see a lion and we know it's going to hurt us, right? Just based on the patterns, right? So I'm not exactly sure, if there's a sort of like a way around it. I'll probably leave it to the panel to see, if there's some smarter way that people have been working on to sort of eliminate some biases in AI. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, this is the thing, one of the problems that we have to solve as one of the challenges in AI before I think we can make it ubiquitous. We can still use AI in very controlled settings, but in order to take it very general, it's going to, as I mentioned, if it's a system that's going to interact with the environment and learn through the experiences, it's going to learn both positive and negative experiences. Whether the AI is crappy and has biases, or whether, some of you might also remember about 2 years ago, Microsoft research in Beijing put out a conversational character called Tay and released it on Twitter. So it was just a Twitter handle, and you would have conversation with that agent. And in about 24 hours, it was completely game. They gave it a character of, I think, a 13 or a 14-year-old, and it got completely gamed, and it was spewing all sorts of racist nonsense. Right? The question to ask is, hey, would you let your 14-year-old go on control and control conversations on Twitter? Right? But it's going to pick up all those biases, right? So the second division of it now is something called Xiao Eyes in China, which is much better and it's able to defend itself better. But that type of giving the AI agents the ability to know what is good and bad, ultimately I think that needs to come only through human guidance. Right? We have values, right? There's a spectrum of values that all of us possess, and there are people who each one of us are in different parts of the spectrum, and even in different values, we are in different parts of the spectrum. Right? So AI agents are going to become that, and over time, I'm hoping that we continue to get pushed more and more into at least the ones that we will be socially acceptable and that we can value good values for us as a species. But this is a still big open problem. There's humongous amount of effort in this direction, both in academic research as well as industrial research organizations around this. And I actually don't know of anybody that will come even close to saying that we are a cusp of solving it. It's a big open problem, so that's an opportunity.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think The reality is, of course, that AI is focused, most successful in certain domains. And in domains, you have a limited amount of data, and so you build up biases versus a broader researcher-oriented approach would try to control across a much larger population. So I think there is a lot of opportunity and risk as well. I think Naren's nodding his head. Do we have time for
Yeah, I think we
Should
want
we
to
wrap
wrap up because we've got a few other interesting things to work out as well. So,
Okay, so let me, should I do the wrap up?
Yeah.
I think I really want to say thank you to the panel. I think the good news is there's lots of data, lots of compute power, the problems are out there, you can learn about it, so there's really no dearth of opportunity for anyone who wants to dabble or become an entrepreneur or become a practitioner in this space. That's what we're hearing. I'll come back to this, you guys, and say 10 seconds, tell us about a device or technology that you'd really like to possess in 5 years. Who wants to start?
I can go, yeah.
All right, Vicky, go.
I want it now, not in 5 years. So, you know this out-of-office assistant, an email that says, thank you for your email, I'll get back to you when I can. Answer the damn thing, get the work done, attend the meetings. While I binge watch Jason Bourne. That's all I have.
All right,
Something, that's something you and more tactical, if something can understand my taxes and finish it tomorrow.
There you go.
Andy.
If my privacy is being compromised anywhere on the internet, I would like to know right now and put an end to it.
Fish.
Yeah, I think mine is more about monitoring my sugar levels, let's say. I mean, as simple as that. I just want something that will cost you more my sugar levels.
Sundar?
Yeah, I mean, what I could use is probably maybe like a gadget on my ear, which tells me real time when, how, and what to talk to my wife and not get in trouble.
Well, there you have it. Solve one of those problems and you have a business going. Thank you very much.
what is your favorite device if you have?
Well, I was going to go +1 for Sundar, but I'll get into trouble.
Okay, let's give a nice round of applause to these guys.